Wouldn't your life be so much easier if you could cut down your study time from 3 hours to 1 hour? How about 30 minutes? Even better. Efficiency is the key to how I was able to become valedictorian with actually the highest GPA ever in the history of my district, all while playing varsity sports, sleeping 8 hours a day, and actually having a social life still. And I had migraines, which is a neurological disorder that made me miss school sometimes. I don't want to always mention this, but I think it's very relevant for this video, and a lot of you guys relate. Being efficient means achieving maximum productivity with minimum wasted effort or expense. Definitely something we want to achieve when the colleges are pressuring us to do so many things in order to get into the top colleges, because that's how society is. But regardless of your goals, efficiency is the key to live your life and have fun, so you don't have to be stuck in your books all day long, because nobody likes that. Hey, it's Amy. A bunch of you requested, how do you become efficient at studying? How do you actually study effectively? So today I'll share with you the real tips that I used in high school and college. I've been mulling over for about 3 weeks now which tips I should present to you that would be the most helpful in a single video, and I thought you should wait no longer. The last tip will have you automatically 2 steps ahead of all your classmates. Without further ado, let's go! Gain awareness ASAP. A lot of you guys told me that it's so overwhelming to just start your homework and to think about all the things you have to do. So I'm not telling you to start your homework as soon as possible. I'm just telling you to look at it. So when you get homework in class, just take a glance at all the questions and read through to make sure you have all the resources that you think you need to solve the problems. This is really good because maybe class doesn't even end yet, and then you have time to ask your teacher about a question already, so you don't have to wait until the next time you see your teacher. Plus, when I did this and I looked at the questions, sometimes I would see really easy ones like low-hanging fruit, to use those corporate lingo, and I would just knock them out. I would do maybe just 1 or 2 problems and I would feel a great sense of achievement. Looking at the problems and doing just 1 question gives you a much greater awareness of how long the thing is actually going to take, because the more you guess about how long assignments are going to take you, the more stressed you'll become, because as humans we tend to overestimate. We tend to think that things are harder than they are. This first tip will make tip number 5 work even better for you. Simply gain awareness and you are on your way to becoming very good at time management. Learn by doing. I would not study before doing my work. Students might read the textbook pages or read the notes and they try to get a good understanding from that, and then they start their homework. So it's a 1-2 step process. What I do that saves a ton of time is I will just jump right into the homework, because the homework's literally going to tell you what you need to know, and typically the test tests you on the homework question type stuff anyway. When I jump right into the homework, I might not know how to do question 1, but that's okay. That's when I go into the textbook or my notes, and then I read that part, reference back and forth like a tennis court, and I fill in the answer. This way, it's like studying and doing the work that you'll actually have to hand in at the same time. Instead of having an hour studying and an hour homework, it just turns into an hour of studying plus homework mixed together. Why do I say an hour of both instead of, 1 hour and 30 minutes of studying and homework? This is because when you're looking at the homework, you're filtering out all the crap that's in the textbook in your notes. Doing the homework problems is like following an outline that will target the things you have to read. This helps me remember things and understand how to solve the problems better too, because only when you're doing it are those neurons in your brain firing and making those connections that much deeper. I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. Do the work. Don't study. You're studying by doing the work. But when you do have to study, use what I call parallel recall. You've all heard of active recall by now. It's in those tons of YouTube videos. So basically, when I'm studying in parallel with reading the textbook for the very first time, I'm also doing active recall, but not in the way you might think. Other forms of active recall I do later are flashcards, doing practice problems, but I'm already doing a form of active recall when I read the textbook for the first time. It's not that I'm reading the textbook every page and then blurting out or writing down everything I remember, but it's like I read a sentence or a paragraph, then I look up and I repeat it in my own words. I try to make connections on the spot with the previous things that I've read. For example, if I just read the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, cover the page, internalize it. really let it sink in, you know? How I let it sink in is that I'll repeat it in my head.
The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
But I'm not reciting it like I'm trying to memorize those words. I'm trying to absorb the meaning, and I think that means the mitochondria, this part of the cell, is essential to the cell's survival and its energy and any kind of function. That kind of thinking would be happening in my mind as I'm reading the pages and would be much faster than how I just said it out loud to you. Some of you guys have the problem where you're reading, but you don't feel like you're actually paying attention to what's being read. The moment you feel like something is too easy or your eyes are just glossing over the words, that's the moment you know that you're not actually doing anything useful. That's when you know you're wasting time. It should feel a little hard. That feeling that it's difficult means you're learning. My process of parallel recalling, doing active recall in parallel of reading, helps keep me engaged because I get so bored if I'm just reading the words. We would love to have photographic memory, I know, but parallel recalling is the next best thing. Have an accountability partner. Sometimes we think that the smart people are lone wolves. They're so smart that they can just do it on their own, but that's a myth. I could not do nearly the amount of things that I've done, nor have a good time doing it, if I didn't have friends. As I've talked about in a lot of my other videos, collaboration is so important in school, in life, to make everything easier, because you never want to believe that you're the smartest person. You always want to think that you can learn from other people. And learning from others saves you the time from learning it yourself from scratch. How does an accountability partner work? I like to set what are called soft deadlines. This is the act of setting a deadline like 3 or 4 days before the actual deadline, before your actual test or homework is due. But here's where it gets effective. That soft deadline is a commitment that you make with your friend. That's a time where you're going to either study and quiz together, or you're going to compare your homework answers. You might let yourself down, but you don't want to let other people down because you don't want them to think of you in a bad way. That's how our egos work. So you will likely be more efficient and actually meet that soft deadline, therefore completing your work more efficiently. If you don't have any friends you can do this with, well, you need some new friends, but that's another topic. Not only does this make you get the work done efficiently before the soft deadline, but when you're working with your friend, you're actually learning so much more effectively because you're teaching things to each other. Especially when you have to explain something to someone else, that's an incredible way to encode that information and ensure that you understand it as well. The student becomes the master. Double plus is that you're socializing at the same time. Homework's not the most fun thing to do, but it really creates bonds when you're struggling together. So this fourth tip is a win-win-win. I don't know if that was too weird. I'm gonna keep it. Okay, number 5, pivot when you're stuck. It can be the most frustrating thing when you're staring at a problem and you literally don't know what to do next. There's no cell in your body that has any clue what's going on. And the more you stare at it, the more you're like,
I'm so dumb. I'm never gonna get this done. I'm just gonna die here trying this problem forever.
Well, don't do that. When I feel stuck on a problem, I'll try a little bit longer, but just like a few minutes, right? But then I will text my friend immediately. Hey, do you know how to do this? There's no shame in asking, guys. It's better to be dumb to your friends and your teacher instead of dumb on the actual test. Then when your text is whoop, sent into the world, you can't do anything about it anymore, so then you pivot and you work on something else. That way you prevent frustration. It's kind of like multitasking, because while your friend is trying to figure it out and get back to you, you're making progress on other things. Of course, if your friend doesn't know because you're so smart, so maybe your friend doesn't know it either, then that's when you should bring that problem to your teacher. Don't feel the need to be so independent and jam yourself into that wall to solve that problem all on your own. If you feel stuck, literally just ask for help.
Stop it. Get some help.
I am someone who actually talks to the teacher a lot. If you saw the number of times I went up to the teacher's desk, you would think I'm really confused and just don't know what's going on in class. But I'm always talking to the teacher because I'm greedy, you know? I want all the teacher's knowledge. They literally can give you all the help if you just ask. I may not be naturally smarter than my classmates, but if I get more help from them, from my friends, from my teacher, I'm giving myself an advantage already. When you get to a dead end and you change direction and go down a different road for a while, you're actually mulling it over in your head subconsciously. Having that change of scenery down this new path is refreshing. And then sometimes you might think of some idea that helps you go down that previously blocked road. This is why it's even more important to start early and get awareness of the problems, because then you actually have time to ask your friends and to ask your teacher the next day before homework is due. I would be lying to you if I did not include this tip in my efficiency study video. Reduce your screen time. Stop. Before you click away and be like, oh no, another mom lecturing me about my screen time. Listen up, okay? I am in your same shoes. I like seeing what other people are doing. In fact, my job is partly social media right now, so you can bet your butt that I'm on there a decent amount of time. But I've seen firsthand how awful it is to your focus. Like, deep work is just that much harder to get into with this habit of scrolling. If you got bored at this point and are like, I've heard this a million times, I'm gonna click away, you need to hear this even more. Think about this. When you're reading and studying, you need to read a paragraph and then read another paragraph and then read more paragraphs, right? You don't wanna read paragraph 1, read paragraph 2, and then dump paragraph 1 into the trash. Like, you still need to remember what's in paragraph 1. But what are you doing every single time you're scrolling? Do you ever remember what the previous short you watched was? How about 2 shorts or 2 posts before that? Even less. So when you're scrolling, you are literally training your brain in an awful way. You're training it to forget everything that came before it because it's just not important to you. Since I knew this, when I had to take the GMAT, I was like, bro, standardized testing again? My focus is way worse than before. I knew I had to make a game plan. So I deleted Instagram on my phone for the 5 months before taking the exam, because as sad as it was, I asked myself, what do I want more? Do I care more about sharing my life, which other people probably don't care about? And do I care about seeing what my friends are doing on vacation? Do I care about that more than my GMAT score, which helped me get into MIT and Columbia Business School? No. So since I valued that, then it turned into kind of an easy choice to just do what I had to do. You just need to do what you need to do. Like, you know what you gotta do, so just do it. Nike, just do it. If when you were watching this video, you got impatient and you wanted to skip through my little chapters to just find what the tips were, or you go down in the comments and see those people who summarize the tips, then you need this more than anyone. You're missing the understanding of why these tips work, and you need those important explanations to even be motivated to follow the tips, which will help you. If when you're watching YouTube videos trying to get helpful information, you feel the need to just get it and go, and for the speaker, me, to speed things up, to stop saying all this fluff, then that's a red flashing warning light of the attitude and habit that you've built up. Honestly, now that I'm saying this, it's kind of ironic, because if you were someone who skips things, then you would have skipped what I just said. Anyway, I don't care how you do it. App timer, delete your phone. Delete your phone if you can, but delete the app. Just do something. Just take some action if you know that your focus is being so drained by these social media apps. I'm not going to tell you what specifically to do, because you can decide for yourself how much you need and how much being a star student really matters to you. It's hard because it's worth it. The harder things are, the more worth it you should think they are. Think about how many other students will watch this video and still do nothing. If you do this tip and take control of your social media addiction, it will automatically put you way ahead of everyone else. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, they don't care about you like I do. All they want is your money. So don't let faceless companies control you. Be the boss of your own life. I always end up getting very preachy. I wrote the script being like, oh, it's gonna be so concise. I'm just gonna do tips 1, 2, 3, 4. And I ended up preaching again. I don't know, man. I like to think that this is helpful. Please let me know if it's helpful or not. When I followed these tips that I shared with you today, I cut down my study time so much, but the thing is, I didn't even know how much I cut down my time to and made it more enjoyable that I didn't even know how much I studied. It just feels like you breeze through it because you're that much more focused. When you're studying effectively, try my tips and actually try them. But Start with one at a time and then accumulate them slowly, so then you're actually making it your routine. Only then do you have the right to say my tips suck, and you can tell me that in the comments so then I can improve for you next time. I read all your comments. This is a good and bad thing, but I'm actually getting way too many comments now to respond to all of you, so I'm sorry if you don't get a response. I'll try to heart it all, but just know that I love all your words. Thank you. I get it. Sometimes you don't need tips, you just need more motivation, so you can even actually do the tips. A little bit of entertainment while getting motivation never hurt anybody. So if you want a combination of inspiration and fun, watch this. Thank you. Sleeping Watch this video. It's a darn good time. I can promise you that. I always end with an accent. I don't know why.